You've probably heard,
Picture a giant 6-foot tall burger, super wide, thousands of pounds, and then I'm beside it. How would you describe a good thumbnail? Like that.
or
Many things that we do, like changing the shirt colors, putting Jimmy in a suit, putting him in a shirt with the Mr. Beast logo, the different color of a house, or we change so many different aspects.
and
The thumbnail has to stop your scroll.
well, no, that's not true. So as you've just seen in these examples, you don't have to use the thumbnail with a face on it, with attractive colors on it, or don't fill it with a lot of material in order to get views. Okay, but Benji, I'm confused. Why some thumbnails work and some others don't, even though they apply the same exact rules? In a world filled with Mr. Beast style thumbnails, the one that outstands the most is not the one with a better design or outrageous colors, but the one that is the most effective. Now, what does that mean? Well, the majority of thumbnails that actually work are built under these two rules. First, they actually communicate a clear message that is totally understandable, and that's what makes it effective. If your thumbnail doesn't transmit a clear message, the audience are not going to understand it, therefore they're not going to click on it. Because look, curiosity works like a balance bar. If you move to the left to something very ordinary, what it's going to happen is that you're not going to attract anyone's attention. And therefore, people are not going to even see that thumbnail. Now, if you move too much to the extraordinary side and you put a thumbnail that no one absolutely understands because it just doesn't make any sense, yes, it will attract attention, but it will not convert. Why? Because people feel so confused and they don't understand it. The way to do this in a successful way is by setting yourself in the middle of the bar, where you have a little bit of curiosity, but it's still understandable, which means familiarity. What this is going to do for you is that people will see something that it's normal in their life, but it has a little twist on it that makes it different. Because imagine you're walking at night on the streets and you see a bunch of street lights, and looking at them, you find one that is a little bit leaning to the side or that is just completely off. Just think about it. Which one of these street lights are going to outstand to you? Well, obviously, every single one looks normal, but except the one that is leaning or it's off. Therefore, your attention is going to go to this one. Now, this is something that you want to do in your thumbnails. You want to show something normal doing something weird. For example, look at this thumbnail. You obviously recognize from the colors that this is something about Iron Man, but you don't really understand what it is. That is a perfect balance between something familiar to you and something weird. Therefore, it generates your curiosity. And even the title being as simple as 8 superhero gadgets that you can buy, it still drove almost 2 million views in 3 years to this 130,000 subscribers channel. Obviously, we can call that a successful video. For example, let's analyze this idea. In this thumbnail, we can see that there is many items that you might obviously know. Some of them look very clear, some of them doesn't look as clear. But in the general picture, you can pretty much recognize every single item. Now, let's go with the title, 12 Habits That Changed My Life. Now, you might think, oh wow, so every item of this one, it's related to an habit. There's a coffee, there's a hamburger, there's a clock, there is an orange, there's a phone, there's a written notebook, and it falls exactly in the middle. Why? Because you can recognize this item, yet you can't really understand how those are habits. For example, habits normally tend to be something good, something to improve your life. But when you see a burger, a donut, coffee, or something that has a little bit of a negative impact in your life, it really generates you the curiosity of, what is this about? What good habit could be potentially connected to eating a burger? Therefore, it's a very successful video with 7 million views in 4 years. As you can see, all the rules that are out there, yes, they're helpful, but they don't really matter. You don't have to have a face like the Scream, striking colors like the rainbow, or not using many items on the thumbnail in order to get millions of views. The basis and the fundamentals of this are very clear. You just need a clear message and an attractive thumbnail. A clear message could be summed up as selling one thing at a time and not overcomplicate the idea. On the other hand, in attractiveness, you just need to generate curiosity and follow on that middle bar. Now, there is not a specific formula that you can create that is going to generate you familiarity and also a clear message. Therefore, I'm not a huge fan of all these tricks and all these rules that you gotta apply on your thumbnails in order to attract attention and make people click. Okay, but Benji, we're still in the middle of the video. We're halfway through and you can't end it here. Well, of course, I didn't make this video just to tell you that. I genuinely want to help you. So this is the key when making thumbnails. You have to deeply understand your audience. Okay, Benji, that's a new other concept. What does that fucking mean? Well, let's get back to the imagination stage. Well, you as a YouTube creator, my friend, you are a seller like any other creator. And everybody else in the audience are buyers. Now, what do you have to do to make people buy from you and not from others. Very simple. Understand these people's needs and fulfill them. The reason why I say this is because I see people on YouTube trying to make thumbnails not really according to the audience. Therefore, if your audience doesn't resonate with your message or your thumbnail and title, basically, they're not going to click. For example, have you ever wondered why the gaming industry have pretty much the same thumbnails? Or why the blogging female industry have the same kind of format for the thumbnails? Well, this is very easy because they understand their market. Let's say your business is a restaurant, but you want to look very, very, very good. Therefore, you see other stores like boutiques and you try to copy their looks. When you do that, people will think that your restaurant is actually a clothing store. Why? Because that's how you sell it. Whenever you're making videos on YouTube, you really want to look like the others. You really want to look like the niche. Yes, you want to be different. Yes, you want to outstand with something, a color, a format, something that is slightly different. But you don't want to completely destroy the format of the niche. Why? Because people relate to that. You can obviously play with the same format but different colors in order to make a counterintuitive effect. Or you can play with the same colors but a different format. But what you definitely can't do is change them all. Because in that moment, you will go from the ordinary to the completely extraordinary stream, and people will not understand what your video is about. Now the question is, how can we do this? Well, when everybody wants to attract people to their videos, they just think on the title and the thumbnail itself, if it's attractive or if it's not attractive. What you gotta actually see is where your viewer is coming from. Listen to this very closely. If you want beers, you go to the bar, but if you want birds, you go to the park. In order to get what you want, rather is spectators, birds, or drinks, you have to understand where to find them. Or in this case, the viewers are people, so you have to understand where they come from. And how does that look like in YouTube? Well, there is 3 main traffic sources in YouTube. People could see the content on your feed, which is pretty much probably how you found out this video. People could search for your content and type it out in base of whatever they need. And then people can see your video related to other videos at your right, gathering in a list. These are called browser filters, SEO search, and suggested videos. And here is where it gets tricky. For each and one of these sources, there's some rules that you can apply and there's some rules that you cannot. For example, let's go to a more specific one, the SEO. SEO means search engine optimization. And meanwhile, people are trying to rank in their videos in terms of the title that they put in, the tags, the description, using what we call keywords. Some others are going a little bit further than that. While people might search in the browser how to stop overthinking, what we see is that in the majority of the thumbnails, the people follow a clear pattern, and that is someone having anxiety. But if we keep scrolling down, we can see there is someone that has done a thumbnail split in 2. This communicates the transformation between going from anxiety to absolute calm. Now, what happens there, it's a very attractive thumbnail, but the key point here is that it's different from any other thumbnail in the list. Therefore, most likely you will click on that video. So as you can see, when you're doing thumbnails for SEO videos, you don't really have to pay attention to looking similar to others, not playing with something very outrageous, or all the rules that applies. You just need to outstand. Therefore, people will pay more attention to you and they'll click more into your video. Because again, attention on SEO videos does not mean that it's attractive. It means that it's different. Therefore, when you're doing videos that positionate, kind of like every video on the platform that starts with how to, or that has a keyword that whenever people type it, it ranks your video at first, you just want to look different for them to click in the video. And your job, it'll be by convincing them with the title. So your effort should go 99% on the title and 1% on the thumbnail. But when we talk about suggested videos, it's completely the opposite. When you watch a video on YouTube and you lose focus, the most natural thing is start looking at the right. Why? Because there are many options on that infinite suggested video list that YouTube prepares for you based on the content that you watch. Now, if you just clicked on videos about cats, most likely you're gonna keep clicking on videos about cats. So if in that list there's a dog video, a raccoon video, and a cat video, you're probably gonna click on the cat video. Why? Because you come from clicking on cat videos. That means something caught up your interest and you wanna still keep feeding your interest. As well, there is something very particular in human beings that we try to be congruent with our decisions. So what we try to do is to keep that line of the first choice instead of actually changing choices in the middle of the journey. Therefore, the thumbnail that you want to do here is just very, very similar to your other competitors. This works out so much on the entertaining videos, such as videos about cats, gaming videos, or blogging videos. So if you're in one of these niches or on any other entertaining niche, you might consider looking a little bit like your competition in terms of the thumbnail, but changing your titles completely. Yes, you want to attract the attention, but in order to turn it into a click in your video, you will have to give them a solid reason to click. Let's say I'm watching Fortnite videos, and then at the right, there's 2 Fortnite videos that I could look at. Both have a similar thumbnail, similar length, they could be even from the same content creator, but they have just one thing different: the title. One says, "I won without moving," and the other one says, "Win in the storm, easy wins." Even though both of the ideas are extremely good and they made millions of views, there's one that almost tripled the other. So based on the attention, every other video of Fortnite has a green on it, and one of these thumbnails has a purple on it. But still, the other one made more views, as you can see. Now, why is that? Why the thumbnail that was different from the others didn't make as much views, and the thumbnail that was just like the others? Well, very simple. Because one of these ideas, the title, wasn't that attractive and didn't generate that much curiosity as the other one. But it's actually very impressive and it really attracts you to look at it. Both of the videos have 4 million views, both of the videos are from the same creator, both of the videos are using almost the same thumbnail just with changing colors, but that one got more because of the title. Because the video at the right says, "I won without moving," and that is something very, very impressive. How could you win a game of any kind without actually moving? Everyone will be interested on watching that video and seeing how is this possible. And if it actually delivers what it says in the thumbnail and the title, was using the exact same thumbnail as other creators, so even though both videos are from the same creator and the same amount of time, the winner is actually using the same colors as others, still that thumbnail won because it's more attractive than actually different. Remember, different is from SEO, the most curious is for suggested videos. Now, there's one remaining, the browser features. What do you have to do in here? Well, in this one, yes, they apply the actual rules. In this one, you don't only want to be different, but you want to be attractive. That means you want to be authentic. When you're different from others and attractive, people not only pay attention to you, but actually watch your videos. But why is that? Well, very simple. Well, it's an unfair competition. You're not competing with people that have searched you. You're competing with someone that just got in YouTube. Therefore, if you're looking for that specific people, what you gotta do is throw a little bit of everything. You wanna look a little bit like your niche because you want people to recognize that you're rather making a video of Fortnite, making a video of filmmaking, making a video of meditating, or whatever the niche that you're making a video for. Now, you got the familiarity, but on the other hand, you still wanna look unique. So for example, you can change the color of something. For example, if the sun is yellow, you could turn it into blue. That is something completely different from the market, and that will make people attract the attention. But never forget to keep your message very clear so people can understand the idea and they have a low barrier of entry. What does this mean? Easy. That when people see the thumbnail and read the title, the whole concept is as attractive as simple. Therefore, people would be attracted to the message and catch it very quickly, making them click in the video and watching your video. That's why the rules that I told you in the beginning, they actually really apply, but not on every video. Therefore, you have to be very conscious what video you're doing, how are you selling it with the title and the thumbnail, and which people are you attracting. Now, if you normally run out of ideas and you don't know exactly what video to make in order to get many views and subscribers, you should watch this video right here, where I reveal you one idea that works for every single YouTuber and I prove it to you. Hint, even MrBeast did it before. Subscribe if you want more videos like this, and definitely don't check the link in the description. I'll see you on the next video.